I want them wherever you want them.
Sweet. Let me go get the vacuum and then we'll
Okay.
start that.
All right, so it's day 2 of our CarCraft Week to Wicked presented by Speedway Motors. Today's parts we're throwing at this, all the plumbing of the brakes, the fuel system, trans cooler, but you know what? We get to put it in that really badass big block Chevy, backed up with the Power Glide trans, and we're gonna do a drive shaft. So with that being said, I did kind of tease something yesterday about having a special guest. Well, he's here. Steve, get in here.
Hey,
How you doing,
Jason,
man?
Good to see you. I'm
You
Steve
too.
Magnanti, and I'm a geek for a history of drag racing. And I'm 55, may look 65, but been sort of a geek about this stuff since I was about 10 years old. And I was in Hot Rod magazine for a bunch of years, 98 through 05. And when I was there, I did a lot of building and writing about, well, altered wheelbase cars, gassers, the history of door slammer drag racing. And the Chevy Nova is one of the best platforms you guys can be using for this Week to Wicked. So this is very cool. Good call on the Chevy Nova.
And you know, we're gonna hear more from Steve throughout the day, and he's even here tomorrow. We're not letting him out of the building, we're locking him down.
You gotta rid me like a sponge, get the history
That's
out.
right. With that said though, we do have a car to build. We got about 4 more days to do that, so let's get busy.
Right.
So Joe, I just looking at this and the way Christian laid it out looks good. This kind of being more of a drag car, especially being a gasser, we probably want to get this close to the front or rear axle as possible.
Right.
So on top of it. So if we can push it forward a little bit, I think we'll be set to go.
And we need room for a battery too.
Yeah.
Battery.
So that could go on the side maybe?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
I'm on the sides for sure. Probably on the passenger side, since you have a driver on the driver's side to kind of maybe do the little counterweight there.
Yep, I think that's a great idea.
Awesome.
We're here getting ready to bench bleed our master cylinder for our Nova. This is our Corvette style 1-inch bore master cylinder that we sell. We're just going to use some Willwood synthetic brake fluid, so we'll go in here and just try to get all the air out of here so that when we go to bleed the brakes, we've got a head start getting them bled out.
Yes.
Did you see the magic smoke coming off the drill bit? You don't have to push so hard, dude. That's why you're sweating.
No, this drill bit's
Let the
Jack.
drill bit do the work. You don't need to work for the drill bit.
It's just the drill bit was so worn out that it
How
wasn't.
sweaty you are, dude.
anything.
You only drilled 4 1/4 inch holes.
Hell yeah.
Man, I saw the trunk floor bend.
A lot of folks wonder, is a gasser an AFX altered wheelbase funny car? Yes and no. The gassers came first in the 1950s, late 1950s. It was basically the NHRA designated a class for gasoline-powered vehicles versus nitromethane-powered fuel cars. And those gassers tended to be closer to street-driven cars because they were more expensive and more doable. And as a result, the more extreme versions of the gassers were vehicles that still had headlights and grills and post-war bodies, but were jacked up in the air for more weight transfer, because we know that as more weight goes up, when you hit the gas, that weight transfers rearward onto the tires, which gives you traction. So the gassers kind of developed a look unto themselves, especially at the top of the ranks. Some of the gassers were also built with engine setback, engine height increases, and those are things the NHRA allowed within certain limits. And a lot of guys would take those effects and then put them on the street. And by the early 70s, you found these guys building what we'd call street freaks, and that would be sort of the gasser look. One of the things that was great about the gasser movement, the NHRA mandated these cars generally had to still be street legal, or at least have plates and headlights and brake lights. So as a result, many of the gassers, even the most radical ones, the Stone, Woods and Cook, supercharged Willis, those kind of cars, they still looked like street cars, which made them more identifiable and connectable to the average enthusiast waiting in the stands who would build his own replica and drive it on the street.
Oh, it does? Then yeah, we just need a hose.
We'll just drag the hose out, and do we need another bulkhead?
There we go. Jason, what'd you just do, bro?
Oh, that's it.
Bam.
Okay.
Just a little warm.
Let's see if Christian can do it.
Crazy. And a little bit of
Lube?
Yep, a little bit of lubey. Let's see how this goes, Jay.
That's gonna be tough. I think Joe got us the extra small line just to mess with us.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get on that, that line that just wasn't quite big enough. All right, so Christian's just wrapping up the fuel system. Only thing I had to add was a return line to the tank, which we just put a union in there with a couple nylon gaskets, which should be good to go. So over here, we start with our supply, which goes into our A1000 pump, into our regulator, because this pump will put out easily over 100 pounds. We only need to run 6 pounds. We got the gauge up front, that way we can adjust the regulator for the proper fuel pressure, down into a filter, out of the car with a union, and then we'll run a supply line up the frame to the carburetors.
One thing to look at is very important. On this one here, you can't assume the motor mounts right to left are the same. In this case, they are. You can see here there's no offset to these things. They're both pretty much identical left to right. But one thing about motor mounts in many situations is the driver's side is stronger than the passenger side because many engines, when they torque, V8s that is, tend to pull on the left front side of the car, the driver's side, and that can create a need for a stronger motor mount on the driver's side. Don't assume your motor mounts are the same left to right and go off and bolt them on. You can get bit. In this case, again, they are the same.
We're getting ready to put our torque converter in our TCI transmission. We've already added some fluid to the converter to lubricate the Torrington bearings and make sure that everything is a wet startup with that. We're going to uncap that now. I'm going to uncap the input shaft and stator shaft. I'm going to take some of the fluid from in the converter, which should be about halfway full so it doesn't run out of it. I'm going to lubricate the bearing surface and seal surface with some transmission fluid so they're also lubricated at startup. This will also help get that into the transmission housing. When you install a converter, you're generally going to hear 3 clunks. The first clunk is going to be the input shaft. The second clunk that you hear will be the stator going into the stator ring in the converter. And then the third and final clunk will be these tangs engaging with the pump. And we've got about an inch clearance between the face of the transmission mating surface and the pads on the converter. And that's it. Our automatic transmission torque converter is installed.
Keep going. Okay, there you go. We're in. All right, so it's about that time to get the engine mated with the car. The entire engine build was done at Speedway, so let's go check that out.
Okay, tell me when, all right?
Hi guys, it's Johnny Hunkins with CarCraft Magazine, and we're here in Lincoln, Nebraska today at Speedway Motors, and I'm talking with Zach Woods, engine builder extraordinaire here at Speedway Motors, and we have a big block here.
Yeah.
Is this a Mark IV, Mark V?
This is Mark IV. Yep, 454. This is the beginnings of a 496 build that we're going to do.
Yeah, except it's not a 396, it's going to be a 496.
That's right.
And we're going to stuff some really cool stuff in that. We're going
right.
to get as much cubes as we can out of it because we want more power. So what do we got?
So we're going to fit this thing with a 4 1/4 inch stroke crank. So it's a 1/4 inch more than it comes with. And it's a scat piece. It's a cast crank, but it's very near forging at a good price.
Now, is that cast steel or a cast iron?
It's a cast iron crank.
Cast iron crank?
Yep.
Pistons. Tell
Yeah.
us about what we
Yeah,
got.
so the pistons, we got some really nice pieces from Icon. I rely on them for a lot of parts.
A lot of value for the dollar. And then to feed that, we're going to have some pretty killer induction. What do we got there?
Yeah, so we got a really nice set of heads from Flowtech. They're a 320 cc intake runner. They flow really well, and the castings are really nice. They're as cast. They're a really nice set of heads.
Let's talk about valve train now, because I noticed you have the Isky roller lifters in there. I know with big block Chevys and with geometry being what it is in a big block Chevy, there's a lot of stress in there, and lifters are always coming apart in big block Chevys. But Isky, they seem to have that problem licked.
Yeah, absolutely. One place they really shine is the hydraulic stuff. They really have their bleed down rates figured out. One of the biggest things is there's no needle bearings in the roller.
Yeah, easy
it's
roll.
It's a bushing, man, and it's awesome.
And on the induction here, we're also going to go with something that's a little bit more vintage.
That's right.
And but still a good performer.
Yeah, so we have a Lion tunnel ram that's going to sit on this thing with a couple Hollies on the top of it. So it's going to definitely look the part of the 60s hot rod, but with that long runner, we still capture some of that torque on the bottom that we gained by putting this big 4 1/4 stroke in.
It's going to be real nasty on the street,
it's gonna be awesome.
basically. Yeah, it's going to be a burnout machine. We're going to just shred. Well, we're really looking forward to getting this thing in our gasser, but we're going to go to the dyno first. What are we looking at for compression, around 11 to 1?
Right around 11 to 1, yep.
Right on. Well, Zach, let's get to it,
All
brother.
right, let's do it.
Keep going, keep going.
That's sweet there. I think right on.
That's all the jack's got.
That's freaking nice. That's a touchdown on this side. How about you guys over
in.
here?
Yeah, we're in.
Now, these bolts do have shoulders on them, and I'm going to a place where the side of the insulator has a little bit of a crushed to it, and also where the shoulder bottoms out, and that'll make sure that we're in the right place. And the nut that I'm using has a nylock insert, so it won't rattle loose and come out of here, which is good news. And there we are.
All right, so we are wrapping up day 2, and the boys got a lot done. We have a few things hanging. We might just stick around for a couple more minutes just to wrap that up, but thanks, Steve. You're here, and you helped.
Well, it's great to be here. Now, I checked the VIN in this car, and it has a 114 style code. This car was born with a 283 small block. Kind of weird, 3 on the tree, and then, of course, somewhere along the line, that went away. A 230 cubic inch inline 6 went in. Well, now it's been corrected back to a V8 with a 496 cubic inch rat motor and a power glide. This thing is going to rock.
Yeah, so a little bigger engine than it came with.
A little bit.
A whole lot more horsepower, which makes the car a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's
And
going
it
to be a
looks
blast.
super cool.
It does. M&H Race Masters, little skinny wheels on the front. This thing's going to rock. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And Steve's gonna stick around another day with us tomorrow.
Be here. Yeah.
All right, so we still got that expert help and a guy that knows all about this car. So thanks for coming, thanks for staying.
Yeah.
I say we get out of here for the night at least.
Let's do it.
And get some rest.
We're over the hump. We'll be back tomorrow.
All right.